state their name.
Clint Neidhardt from Hebron. Donnie Neidhardt was my dad's cousin and probably best friend most all of his life. My dad traded horses and traded horses with Donnie a lot. But just one memory that I have when I was about 4 years old I'd like to tell would be that Donnie came over and I was riding my first pony, Daisy. Well, Donnie liked to give me a hard time whenever he could. So he asked me, he said, well, Clint, Mr. Clint, as he would always say, does your mother let you ride that pony in the house? I said, oh no, my mother'd never go for that. And he said, well, heck, Mr. Clint, anytime Uncle Donnie's here, you can do whatever you want. So with that, he grabs my pony by the reins, and I applied a little heel to belly, and up the 2 concrete steps we went to the entryway of the house, into the forehouse, and we went through the door, and through the kitchen, through the living room, and back out the front door, much to my mother's dismay. But I guess the point that I'd like to make is that with Donnie, it was always, you can do anything that you want. And that's something that my family has always believed deeply in, but Donnie really had it. And I would just like to say that I think he's probably influenced a lot of people in that way. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Lyle German. I guess I've known Donnie since probably the early 70s. His son Sean and I, we were same age, and I used to stay down there and would go riding out in the hills there. And Donnie, he was always willing to help me or anybody, I think. I used to go to horse sales with him, and I guess the most I remember about Donnie was in the early 80s when I was living at the place that my brother is living at now. It was about 5 miles away from the Circle 5 ranch. Anyway, I'd go down there and rope pert near every day. It seemed like he built that new arena. And Donnie would always, his roping steers, he made sure they gained weight. So they were always good and strong. And Donnie always rode big horses. And he had a horse named Clyde. And there weren't too many things that he couldn't do on Clyde. He took Clyde to horse pulls, won a lot of horse pulls. But I remember he would come riding by, or he'd come right up to you and he'd say, I'll tell you what, Lyle Germanson, we can do whatever it was. And he would make darn sure he got it done, and he worked hard at things. I don't remember when he was riding bareback horses. I remember his furniture and different things that he was always working on. Donnie was a rancher, just like most of us ranchers are. We kind of got something on the side to keep us busy on our off months or whatever, but I was just glad that I knew him, and I really believe that he should be in this Cowboy Hall of Fame. Thank you.
I'm Coco German from Marshall, and my husband Casey and I leased the ranch after Donnie was gone for about 15 years. But prior to that, I had some involvement with Donnie, helping him with his team ropings and doing lots of different things. Whenever I guess he needed a female to do something that he didn't know how to do, write something, whatever, he'd kind of think he needed to go over and ask Coco about doing that. I have a couple paragraphs here that I had written back when Donnie was nominated in 2000. Donnie lived his too short life in authentic cowboy fashion. From his days as a child on the Circle 5 ranch, through his life stages as a bareback rider, husband, father, team roper, team penner, steer roper, and rancher. Donnie did it all with cowboy principles at hand. His antique tack and equipment exemplified his desire to perpetuate the Western tradition. For instance, he rode the same saddle for rodeoing and ranching and was adamant about always riding with split reins. He was thrilled to restore and use his horse-drawn hearse at many cowboy funerals. He enjoyed using his horse-drawn stagecoach at many weddings and community events. All tack and equipment was original, just like Donnie. As an active horse trader, rancher, antique dealer, team roper, team penner, and steer roper, Donnie impacted people wherever he traveled. Having traded horses on the East Coast and across the nation in the 1960s and 70s, no one can count the number of miles he traveled or the number of smiles he shared. Donnie's tragic death in 1999 at age 56 was a result of a steer roping accident. It was shocking, but the sheer number of cards, letters, and calls testified to the impact he had on people far and wide. You may see in some writing about Donnie that in 1964, he wrote a letter to Philip Morris, which was behind the Barbaro Man, and he had to inform them that their cowboy had his spurs on upside down. And he got a letter back from the branch manager that says, "You are, of course, absolutely correct. The spurs shown in our commercial are upside down, much to our embarrassment." And also I have a piece of cardboard here, which is typical Donnie fashion. He wrote on it, it was from when he had his ropings. He also had breakaway ropings for girls, and he worked really hard to get sponsorships, and I guess one of the sponsors was Budget Home Furnishings in Williston, because he has here, "Girls, everybody needs to send a thank you card, even if you don't win." And finally, he must have come to a birthday party for, I don't know, it was either me or my husband, but he just made one card for both of us, even though our birthdays are about 6 months apart. And he says, "Coco and Casey, happy birthday to both of you. Hope you have fun on these days and have birthdays for many years. Take care, Don. P.S. Forgot to buy a card." And my last story about Donnie is I was at home one day. As Lyle said, we live about 5 miles from there, and I was in the bathtub and somebody was pounding on the door, and I thought, well, what the heck? They're pounding on the door, and so I'm hurrying up, finishing in the bathtub, trying to get the door, and I'm throwing on a bathrobe, and I get to the door, and Donnie's walking through the yard back to his pickup, and I said, "Donnie." He said, "Where were you?" I said, "In the bathtub." He said, "Oh my God." So anyway, I guess he was glad he didn't come in the house. So that's Donnie Neidhardt. Thank you.